Okay, so now that we have created our blueprint class for the drone, what we're gonna do is that now we're gonna get a reference of that for that drone to the player. So what do I mean by that? When the game starts, the player itself is the default pawn. Remember, by default, we have this default pawn that we can control. So basically, what we wanna do here is that the drone can follow us as the default pawn as we move across the level. Okay? Later on, we can make it so that it can follow our character too or whoever we're controlling. But right now, we're just trying to get the fundamentals of how to make this enemy work properly. So right now, we're gonna make it so that it follows the default pawn, which is this invisible uh, character, invisible player, I guess, that we're controlling here by default. Okay, so let's go ahead to the blueprint class of the drone. And now we're gonna do the following. We're gonna go to the event graph because now we're ready to play around with the nodes. And now we're gonna start by using the event begin play. And we're gonna drag and drop from there and we're gonna get a node called get all actors of class. Okay. This one basically means that when we begin the game, it's gonna try to get an actor from this blueprint. But now, what actor in particular are we trying to get? We are gonna look for the pawn class. Okay, so basically, this node looks for an actor by what class that actor is. That's how it looks for it. With the class, that's what you're gonna choose here. Now, when that happens, what's gonna result is that in most cases, this node is actually gonna get a list of actors. So how do we know in particular which one are we getting? Basically, that's the output here, which is an array of actors. So the output of this node, it's a list, an array, with all the actors that this node found from that class. Okay, that's pretty much what this means. So, if you drag and drop from this array output, we are gonna look for a node called get a copy, this one right here. Basically, this one gets you a specific index of that array. So depending, you're gonna get the list of actors, but maybe you just want one of the list of actors, right? You don't want the whole thing. So with this get node, we're gonna get just the index that we need. And now here, how do we know which index to select? The thing is, our level right now it's very empty. It doesn't have many actors on it. So the only pawn actor that we have in our level at this point is the default pawn actor. So basically, when we get this list, we should only get like one result for the default pawn. Then that will be my index 0. That's why here it should say index 0 for your get, because that is the first result, the default pawn that we are trying to get. Okay? So hopefully with that it makes sense. Now here we're gonna drag and drop from this get and click on this promote to variable, meaning that once we get that index 0, we are actually going to get a variable for that index 0. Now, what is that variable going to be? By default, it will create you this new var. So basically go on variables and let's rename it because this will be the target pawn. Okay, so this target pawn is the reference to the default pawn for the player. Okay, so basically through these nodes and this variable, we're now successfully getting the reference to the player from the enemy blueprint side. Okay, so that's pretty much the first step that we need to do to get our enemy to follow us correctly. Okay, connect this here as well, compile, save, and I think it's good until this point. On next video, we're gonna cover the next step.